say I'm sorry, nobody thinks you're being an asshole.
That's
Nice.
great. That's great. It's funny because I used to go play Ultra Zone all the time in Dundalk, and Ultra Zone was kind of like that. Like you wanted,
What was that? Right.
you want to be able to see a lot of stuff, and like a lot of people used to get yelled at because we would do like a barrel roll, and you have like all that gear on, doing like laser tag and shit, and they would always be like, "Hey, you can't fucking do that." So, but anyways, we're right here. We're live on YouTube Live, of course. Myself, Matt, Tom Nutty is here. We got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff coming up. Of course, next weekend again is a double shot weekend, which we keep on getting a huge demand for guests. So we're trying to get as many guests in as we possibly can. Also our banner is here. So if you come see us at Exotica, you'll see our new happy hour podcast banner that just arrived this week. And we will be joined by Top Gun Tucker Lux momentarily, as he will be joining us right here on the program. And speaking of that, like with playing laser tag, like I wonder if it's the kind of thing where someone ever took it too seriously. Like you get like one of those like guys that like goes to the gun range all the time, and then like he goes to
There is actually videos on the YouTube. I don't know if laser tag, but like airsoft. They got like actual special force people go there and like play. They look like normal people.
He just murking
but they're
kids
all
the whole
geared
time.
up and shit, but they fucking destroy everybody in there.
They got like $20,000 BB guns.
Yeah. He's just sitting there laying down, and every time the kid comes by, he just murks the kid with the laser. Like
Hey, that was me. I found my spot today, and I just hid there, and like I tucked up real tight so that, like my knees were blocking my vest, so that nobody could shoot me, and I was just fucking them kids up. It was great.
Sounds just like I found my spot, and there I sat, like waiting for those children to come.
That's exactly what I did.
When I played laser tag when I was younger, we had the store bought laser tag stuff. We didn't Discovery Zone or anything. I mean, we did, but that was But when we played by ourselves with like just the neighborhood kids, we would take them and like turn them off. So like when they would shoot at us, they'd think they're sort of like, "Oh, I'm shooting." You're like, "No, you're not. No, you're not." We get in so many fights because of that.
You turn them off, and then you get the Tommy Sambazo of kids that comes with the super soaker filled with piss, and then just starts spraying you like, "Oh, motherfucker, I got you now!" Like, what the fuck? So, but no. So what we're gonna do is we got a couple of things I want to get into. So I know Tucker, he has to go right at 7:00. So I want to try to, boom, boom, boom once he gets here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into our first smash or dash segment, which is going to be a new segment that we're going to be doing, where I pull up a photo and we say whether we would smash or whether we would dash.
So smashing would be,
yes, smashing would be I would smash.
Doing the nasty.
Yes. And dash would be no, I'm not doing
jumping on a train and taking a train ride as far away from that person as possible.
So here's the first for our first smash and dash. So there you go. That's our first one for our first smash and dash. So we're going to start off with Tom. Tom, what do you think? This beautiful woman right here, like would you smash or would you dash?
It hits too close to home. It looks just like my mother.
Oh shit. No. So you're smashing it then, right?
No. Those days are over. Those days are over. I'm gonna dash.
Sorry.
All right. So Matt, what do you think? Smash or dash?
I'm gonna go smash.
You're gonna go with smash?
Right. Listen. Okay, look.
It's like, look.
Even though I'm kind of digging like the hairstyle, it kind of looks like Kiss a little bit.
Okay.
If you throw some fucking face paint on there, it'd be like I'm fucking Kiss. I wouldn't care. But hell yeah.
And
so I'm smashing.
It's funny because I'm kind of on the same plane with Matt. I think I'm gonna smash mainly because this woman looks like a very, very high and pretty much probably the way Jim Morrison looks today. And who wouldn't want a fucking zombie Jim Morrison? Right. So I'm going to go with smash. Yeah. So me and Matt will smash and Tom is going to dash. And maybe I will pull this back up again once Tucker comes, if we get a little bit of time and get if Tucker would definitely smash or dash from that photo. And Tom, of course, you're in a little bit different of a setup this week. You were saying you were moving some stuff around. And that's always a bitch to do. Like I hate like moving rooms and shit around and all that fucking shit.
The problem is I'm moving like 4 rooms consecutively, like all at one time. So it's like this weird like Tetris game where I got to move furniture to this one so I could paint this one, and then move into the painted one and move back out. It's been a process. It's been a fucking process.
I mean, look at it like this: when everything moves around, you can probably play a monster game of laser tag. Like, be like, "All right, kids, look, I got this stuff," and then you just sit there and just murk your kids as you know you played a laser tag and all that shit. So, what all you got? What all you got coming up comedy wise?
I got a Black Friday at the Church of Satire. We're doing a show there. Darnell's headlining, who you guys know when you met up there.
Shout out Darnell.
Shout out Darnell. I'll be featuring for him, and then we have a handful of like local comics that are going to do guest spots. It's going to be a really fun night. And then December 3rd, I'll be down at Protein Books in Baltimore City.
Protein Books? Yeah. Is that like books made out, like, can you eat those? Are they made out of pure protein? Like,
they're just all covered in cum. They're all covered in cum.
I've never heard of protein, but like do they do like a series of cookbooks? Like, I mean, I don't like what.
I have no idea what they do. I just know I'm gonna go tell dick jokes at their establishment for money.
That's always the best, and that's one thing I want to ask Tucker too. Is it's like, you know, from doing comedy, I know from doing pro wrestling, you show up at a venue sometimes and you just kind of look around and you're just kind of like, am I being fucked with right now? Is this like a legit venue? Are people actually going to be here? Like what, and I mean, I've said before, I've wrestled in churches, I've wrestled in car dealerships, out in front of car dealerships, like you name it, I've probably wrestled there. Unfortunately, I never got to ever do any of the strip club shows. That was always Blood and Socrates who always got to do that. So unfortunately, on December 3rd, Tom won't be with us for Exotica. Remember, we're going to be heading out to Exotica. If you guys are heading out that way, it's considered Exotica DC, but it's really in VA. It's in Chantilly, Virginia. So
it's right there, like a borderline.
Yeah, it's at the Dulles Expo Center. I've been there before for a baseball card convention, and it's a decent little hall. So they consider it DC, but it's like the opposite direction, like an hour opposite direction of DC. So, but I think a lot of people consider Maryland, Virginia, and DC. So, that's they're like, oh, it's DC. Yeah, it's all like one like little orgy of states just kind of together.
It's a three-way. We're just banging.
We're just smashing and dashing just everywhere we go.
We just chose DC to do all that shit.
Oh man, and of course Gallagher just died. Like I remember. Here's the thing. Like Gallagher's in the 70s. I don't think I can actively sit there and tell you I remember any of his comedy shows because I was so young. My mom and dad loved Gallagher. However, everybody remembers him smashing the watermelon.
Yeah, that's how.
So, like, I feel like Gallagher, like everybody's like, oh, Gallagher was so great. Like, I don't think Gallagher went to heaven. Gallagher, no doubt, went to hell because they're putting his talent to use. Like, he's smashing watermelons in hell right now. And the first thing that happens is, like, let's say a Jeffrey Epstein or somebody like that gets to hell. They just put your balls on top of a table, and Gallagher just has his way with his fucking, big mallet hammer.
I feel like guys like Jeffrey Dahmer would probably be into that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, like that big, like he called it the sledge-o-matic. Like, where the fuck do you get like a sledge? Like, did he build, like, I don't know. And I don't know a lot about it, but people may know this, and anybody, watching or listening at home might know. Did he have those custom made, or was there a place where you could go and there was just all these fucking watermelon hammers where like he could just be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna use this one tonight? And imagine taking somebody to a Gallagher show and they've never seen Gallagher before, they've never heard of Gallagher, and they're like, oh yeah, hey Dave, look, we're gonna go tonight, we got front row seats, all right, cool, let's go. And Dave's just sitting there, and the next thing you know, he gets to the fucking watermelons and fucking just watermelon fucking just everywhere. Like, imagine being like that woman wearing white in the front row, like in the splash.
You gotta like take like your young kids and shit.
I think like early on he had a lot of problems with that, and then they ended up like giving people plastic.
I remember like, they would have the sheet of plastic.
Yeah, but early on there was no plastic. Like, people didn't they didn't know what the fuck was about to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, Jesus
that's
Christ.
I'd go there for the experience, just
Oh,
get splattered on, you know.
Oh yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Like with that, it's like you go to some like haunted attractions and shit, and like there's ones where like blood like fucking flies at you and shit. Like imagine like being there and like someone comes out there like, hey, and then blood just goes and you like they shoot like fucking like just this visceral blood just comes out of their mouth and it's like just all over you now. You're just like, what happened?
I feel like that's more acceptable at like a haunted house than it is a comedy show.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to a comedy show, you're not expecting to get splattered, you know?
Yeah. Like, yeah, you don't expect to get splattered. Like you go to Exotica, you expect to get splattered.
Right.
You go to a comedy show, you're not expecting to get splattered.
No,
that's not going to happen.
Shouldn't have any fluids on you at a comedy show. That's for sure.
You know what's funny though is I'm sure
like
that somewhere out there someone has had fluids on them from a comedy show.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, I'll do anything to be on the show, anything. Hey, well, I mean, odds are the person has probably been Me Too'd by now, but you know, that's just the whole thing. And it's like, yeah, I mean, dude, like, did he do just watermelons? Like, I feel like, did he ever like evolve and go to anything else? Like,
I think that was like his final evolution. Like, the watermelon was his big hurrah.
Something like apples. He's talking to him like he's a fucking Pokemon. That was his final evolution.
Right. Look, when he got to the watermelons, that was like his stairway to heaven. You know what I mean? It wasn't getting any better.
You know, I was
I mean, that's the thing. Like,
at the end of my career, I smashed watermelons.
Yeah. Like, just imagine that. Like, you go there expecting a comedy show, but at this point, like he's this crazy senile old guy that all he does is screams and smashes watermelons, and that's it. And you're just kind of like, you know what? I paid like a bunch of money to hear jokes, but like this man literally just yelled the entire time and hit watermelons, and I think I kind of bonded with him. That's like I don't like,
taking a senile old man, shoving him in a room full of fucking watermelons, and like turning on a strobe light.
Oh, Jesus!
That would fuck him up.
You're on a bad trip. You walk into like some club, and instead of a DJ, it's just a guy fucking just hitting fucking watermelons.
I fucking paid to see that shit.
It's like the next Saw movie.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
Well, I mean that's the thing. It's like here's what you have to do. Instead of smashing watermelons, you have to smash the person in the rooms with you head to get the key that's inside of their skull. And then you have to take apart the sledge-o-matic and then take the handle and shove it up their ass and fish out the other key.
Look, imagine you do like find yourself in a Saw game and you end up fucking losing because Gallagher's in there and that was the last challenge. And you're like, fuck, this guy's been training his whole life to smash head.
Gallagher's the final boss.
Yeah, he's just like, I got this.
Like, I mean, like that's the thing. Like, imagine, like, I feel like, and it sucks that he died because I feel like we live in a world where if Gallagher were to do like a VR show, that would be wild. Gallagher VR will be wild because imagine that, like he's smashing the pumpkins, but you see pumpkin matter flying at you, but you're no longer in the splash zone. You're like in an imaginary splash zone. But also, like, it'd be cool if you could be Gallagher and you had the sledgehammer, like you're looking around and the hammer's in your hand. Like I would hit every fucking thing I could before I would hit the fucking watermelon. Like that
to be hitting audience members and shit.
Yeah, I feel like he missed like a time frame.
Yeah,
there.
I feel
like if he came around when like TikTok was taking shit.
Oh yeah, dude. Gallagher TikTok,
dude. Gallagher be fucking Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, he'd be rich. He'd be sitting there fucking smashing cakes and shit. And oh yeah, by the way, speaking of TikTok, we're now officially verified on Twitter along with a bunch of other people. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the HH Pod. We went ahead and did that $7.99 thing. Hopefully Elon doesn't botch that and Twitter cease to exist because apparently there's a lot of issues. But I feel like I read something online that with that, like he could potentially file for bankruptcy, and a lot of people think that if bankruptcy gets filed, Twitter's dead. That's not the way it works. Bankruptcy pretty much eliminates that debt that he has, so pretty much it eliminates the $44 billion he pays, and then he has to slowly kind of baby step it up. At that point, it may force a sale, but I don't think Twitter's going to go anywhere, mainly because there's over 400 million users a day who use that. So I think that it's having a down low, but I don't think it's going anywhere. But make sure you go follow us on Twitter. That's where we get most of our social footprint from, is on Twitter. Shout out to everybody who follows us on there, and everybody who shares our content. It's a huge thing. Getting a retweet. You can't get a retweet on Facebook. You can't get a retweet on Instagram. And a lot of times we get so much shit that gains so much traction if like a Sarah J or a Corey Chase or whoever retweets our stuff. So hopefully Twitter survives, and I keep on adding Elon Musk to come onto the show, because I would love to have Elon Musk on the show. I know he was arguing with somebody earlier, some like politician or something, like he got mad because someone like faked this account and got verified, and then the guy was wearing a mask in his photo, and Elon was like, does your PP wear a mask or whatever too? And I was like, oh, PP wearing a mask. I'm like, this comment wins the internet. I was like, I wonder how many male adult film stars did this during COVID. And then I was like, Elon, come on to our little show, and we'll drink beer and laugh about penises wearing a pee-pee mask. So,
hey, look, you never know.
Yeah. Well, no,
he seems like the kind of guy that would like go on a smaller podcast like this just because. Like,
I feel like Elon would have a great time on our show. And like the one thing that I just like, I don't even care about anything else. I don't even really care much about Twitter. My interest is what happened to that car they sent in outer space. Like, is that thing still like fucking floating up there with like all these satellites? Yeah, he sent like a fucking Corvette or some shit.
No, he sent a Tesla Roadster, the prototype of his car with the dummy in it driving like in a full race suit.
Yeah, you never heard that?
When did he do that?
Oh, it
was like 2018, 17, maybe.
Is it still up there?
I think it's still up there.
It hasn't come back.
Yeah. So like imagine,
because I'm like, I read articles like that sometimes, and lately there was like scientists saying that there's an unidentified object flying through space.
That's probably the
right. I'm thinking, like, well, maybe that's it.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Solved it for you guys.
It might be unidentified because the battery on it probably exploded, and it probably caught fire by now, just like every other Tesla out there. But no, I mean, how does that happen? Like, that thing's floating around in outer space. So does like some like outer space squeegee boy like try to hotwire that car and like drive it around in outer space at this point? Like, how many does this thing have like a collision course on a satellite now? Like, are we like likely to go dead live right now because this fucking Tesla fucking runs into a fucking rogue satellite that's just floating around up there? Like,
if Tesla's Roadster knocks our internet down, then Elon has to come on this podcast to make it right. You know?
Yeah. We weren't able to talk to Tucker Lutz, you bastard.
Right. So now we're gonna have to make some time for Elon if he does this. So.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I feel like Elon knows that alien life forms are out there. And like, he's just kind of like, hey, look, this is the best vehicle you can get. And like, he sent it up there kind of as like, if you ever come to Earth, make sure you buy a Tesla. Like that's smart marketing right there. Right. Like,
and you get a free squeegee boy.
Yeah. I mean, it just, you drive through Baltimore, they'll clean your windows for them. Just make sure, have a little bit of money or whatever, to pay them. And,
when I would see the squeegee boys, not that I care about the controversy with it, I would go in the other lane away from them. I'm like, dude, I don't have any money.
You know what my favorite thing?
I never have money.
and for anybody who's not local, who's not a Maryland person listening or watching this podcast, just look up Baltimore Squeegee Boys and just Google Baltimore Squeegee Boys.
I'm pretty sure people know them.
My favorite thing is when they come over to my car, I use my sprayer and my windshield wipers. Like literally every single time I walk over, spray, windshield wipe. And I look at them, I point at it like, this was invented almost 100 years ago. We have a solution. Like, there's already a solution. I don't need to pay you. Just like when I go to New Jersey and it's so foreign to me when like the person comes over to pump my gas and I'm like, no, like, dude, I'm good. Like, I got this. Like,
I don't know. The argument is windshield wipers, they don't hit all the spots just right. You know what I'm saying?
Well, neither do the fucking squeegee boys.
Yeah,
right. That's why you need to they get those little corners, you know, they got that spick and span.
The squeegee boys will hit all the corners that they can need to hit with the opposite end of the squeegee, and will leave cracks everywhere because all they wanted was $10. And I don't understand now because they're just kind of like, oh no, we take money now through like Venmo and all that. And they'll be like, give me your phone. I'm going to Venmo myself. And you have these dumbass people giving them their phones like, oh yeah, here you go, squeegee, random squeegee boy. And then they they steal all their money. And it's like, you wonder how you got here. Like, you know, those are the type of people I don't feel bad about because it's like, I like Jess was showing me TikToks before we came down. And there was one that she said that somebody at Walmart was, trying to check out a self-checkout. And the lady had like 2 big ass heads of lettuce and she's trying to get checked out and she's selecting corn on the screen, but it wasn't registering. And so she calls over an employee and the employee's looking at the screen and she's like, what are you trying to do? She's like, I'm trying to ring this corn up. So the employee types in corn and they go for about like 5 minutes going, this doesn't look right. Like this doesn't match. These photos don't match what we have.
What did you? I may have missed something. Did you say the employee came over?
The employee came over
and typed in corn.
Yeah, and then eventually they went through
what lettuce.
Yeah.
So both of these idiots. Oh my god!
Search by photo. So they're scrolling through search by photo, and it comes up and it says lettuce, and she's like, "Oh, lettuce," and she's like, "Oh well, you don't have corn, you have lettuce," and she's like, "Yeah, I know," and like the girl is just sitting in her car, like, "Wait a minute, right. You went through all this, but you knew you didn't have corn. Like what?"
You're trying to tell Elon Musk, hey, visit urban stuff. Car. This is why aliens have not visited us.
Yes, this is exactly why.
Fucking stupid.
Oh yeah, like they're just gonna. Oh yeah, we can take. And speaking of that, we're going to get into one of our news articles. So the news article, of course, we couldn't get to it last week, and it is U.S. woman fails to scan all of her items at a self-checkout, was arrested. According to the police, the 34-year-old stole over $1,000 worth of items from Walmart since April. A woman in Michigan has been arrested after allegedly looting some items from a Walmart store and not scanning all of them at the self-checkout, as reported by Fox News. She is currently facing charges of first-degree retail fraud after her arrest on September 29th. According to the police, the 34-year-old woman named Teddy Joe Marie Flam.
Oh, Jesus.
Teddy Joe Marie. Like
what?
Okay, she's guilty.
No shit.
Yeah, look, Teddy Joe Marie Flam
was Western West Virginia type.
What the West Virginia
serial killer name is that? It's like
it says when loss prevention noticed that she wasn't scanning every item, later she became agitated and denied that she was omitting items with a loss prevention worker confronted her. She then left the store, according to the Fox News. The store checked CCTV footage, which revealed that the 34-year-old had stolen items worth more than $1,000 by not scanning merchandise at the self-checkout counter since April of this year. So that's great. Like, I mean, I'm going to be 1,000% honest with you. There's been times where I've went to, grocery stores that have those, and it starts fucking up really bad, and I'm just like, fuck it, and I throw it in the bag because I'm not down fucking with that. Like, I mean, I'll scan the next item, obviously, but it's
my opinion on that whole fucking situation is that if you don't want that to happen, fucking put the cashiers back.
Yeah. Right. Put the cashier.
Because look, if you're asking me to do this, you're gonna get my level of commitment to your job, and also, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Like
you're right. Yeah. See, look, listen. What for the first couple weeks, or when they started being a thing, like everyone has a self-checkout now.
Oh yeah.
I thought that just groceries were free at that point. I was just putting them in the bag and
if you live in San Francisco, that kind of stuff still is free. They can just load up and just walk out the door and no one will do anything.
So I mean, someone named Teddy Joe Falima, she doesn't seem like she's intelligent enough to understand
Teddy Joe Ruxpin
that you gotta pay for the motherfuckers. You gotta pay for the groceries.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I look at it like that. Like, I honestly, I like using self-checkout because like me, like if I'm grabbing a couple of things, I can be in, out, boom, quick. Like I don't have to wait for anybody. Like I like to bag my own shit. Like, I worked in retail myself when I was younger, so I like to bag shit a certain way, because you'll have someone that sticks like fucking 3 things that should never be bagged together in one bag, and then it fucking explodes. And it's like, well, no wonder why. But it's also the kind of thing that what we just talked about. Right. We live in a society of stupid. So you get these people that are using the self-checkouts that have no fucking idea what they're doing at all. They have no other human skills.
I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because they might already have one out there, but you will never see a self-checkout at like a liquor store.
Yes, that is true.
Right. Like, think about
granted,
it.
They have
trust in these motherfuckers. Yeah. They're going to slot extra beer in there. They're like, oh, I'm being honest, Like, let's be real here.
Yeah.
I would be sneaking beer. I'd be like, oh yeah, this one's for the road. This is free, right?
What's up with that utility belt of beer that you have there? Like, I walk around with these all the time on a natural basis. Like, what are you asking?
What gets me is like
a keg and be like, I already paid, thanks.
All the Royal Farms have them now, at least up by me. They're all, and there's almost nobody working in them anymore. And the people that do work, like if you, like me, I'm a smoker, so I got to buy cigarettes.
Yeah.
You can't do that on the self-checkout.
That flags you instantly.
No, it doesn't, because if you're not there to give me the cigarettes on time, then everything at Royal Farms just became buy one, get one, and you can go fuck yourself. That's how I deal with it.
I thought you were going to say everything at Royal Farms just shuts down. Like everything just turns off. The Krispy Kreme donuts flip upside down. The fucking everything just turns off. Like
nope. I make my decision on how much gets scanned strictly by if you're behind the counter to do your job, and if you're not back there, well then guess what?
By no means I'm
stealing a donut.
Yeah, by no means are we encouraging stealing in any way, shape, or form. But you got to realize that in the society that we live in, with the super inflation that we have,
we're not encouraging stealing it. Yeah. We're just suggesting that you don't always have to pay for everything.
We're just suggesting that you should probably pay better attention to what people are doing at the self-checkouts, compared to, or put cashiers back in, or whatever it is you need to do, because that's why loss prevention's there. Like there's like, what do you think happens at a grocery store or something like that? Like returns, like you get something back that someone like sweated in, trying it on or whatever and all. You're not going to put it back on the shelf. Someone returns milk, or like you do it. You see it all the time in the store. You'll see ice cream sitting in the magazine aisle. Like, and it's like, what happens with that shit? It gets written off on the taxes. Right. So that kind of shit is going to be written off with the taxes also. But it's also the kind of thing that if you're going to have self-checkouts, that shit needs to work. Because as soon as that shit, like my least favorite thing is you scan it and it goes, please put item in the bagging area. And it's in the fucking bag. And I'm like, motherfucker, like it's in the fucking bag. Shit, and then it'll be like, please rescan item. And I'm like, you can go fuck yourself.
Well, listen, here's the dirty on that. This is the thing. They did it to reduce like the workflow or as many workers, but this is the real truth. The self-checkouts, they're always there. They're reliable. Yeah. They show up to work. They don't need to take a break. They don't need all that shit. All the cashiers, think about all the fucking cashiers that probably had a Royal Farms job.
Yeah.
Probably people like that fucking chick in that video or that article you pulled up.
Yeah.
At least they, self-checkouts are reliable.
And shit. Yeah.
You got, I can't come into work today because my baby daddy ain't here to watch the kid. Some shit, just making, I had car trouble. You don't even have a car. How can you have car trouble?
Well, that's kind of the biggest car trouble you could have. It's not having one.
You're walking car trouble. I see what
what I mean? Like that's kind of a big problem.
It is kind of a problem.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, you could be like, yeah, dude, I got car trouble.
Like, well, what happened? Well, I don't have one. So.
God damn.
And I just sent the Zoom link to Tucker. He commented on Instagram asking me to email it to him. So I just emailed it to him. So hopefully he'll be coming in relatively shortly. But no, that's the thing. Like, now it's the kind of thing that even in McDonald's and shit like that, like you can go in, too. Like I feel like though that when you use that on McDonald's, it should just naturally fuck up because you're so used to things being fucked up at McDonald's that it just Like you order a burger and it's like, you have ordered large fries. And it's like, no. And you hit a burger and it's like, you have ordered large fries. And you're just kind of like, all right, fuck it. I've ordered large fries, whatever. I don't give a shit anymore. Like,
this is a true story. Fucking like 3 weeks ago, I went to the McDonald's by the house, and it was me and my son after baseball. So we went in and we ordered 2 of like the 2 cheeseburger meals, right? I get them, sit down to eat, and both of his cheeseburgers had everything on it but a patty.
Oh, fuck.
Like, it was like, what in the, like, what, how does that even fucking happen?
Yeah.
It's some
Like
self-checkouts.
I was like, what the fuck? So then I took him back up to the register to talk to a human. And I was like, hey, these burgers don't have burgers on them.
These burgers don't have burgers.
And she looked at me and she's like, hand to God, dude. She goes, well, did it have a burger on it when we gave it to you? And I was like, no. What in the fuck are you talking about?
My little
I'm stealing
child
fucking patties. You want to check my pockets for the patties? Like, no, I'm not here to steal your shitty burgers.
I feel like there, if you were to investigate it, the residue of the meat would be left behind. So even if you try to sneak it out of there,
there'd be some like meat residue left on it.
And you're not gonna get
there's gonna be some sort of remnants of like Gallagher's splatter zone, the splash zone on that bun, before like it goes back in. If it's like a bare bun, like you sit there, they could even sniff the bun, maybe even take like a little lick. Like they do so much other sick shit as it is. Like,
are you sure there was meat on there?
Yeah. They sit there and they're like, oh, okay, you want some meat on this? And they just go, there you go. Now your bun has meat on it.
I would have had more respect for them if they did that, other than like questioning my ability to determine if there was meat on this sandwich. Like,
we're not sure. Well, I don't know. Like, what kind of meat is that? I don't know. Why don't you eat it? Try it. What kind of meat?
Unless the self-checkout fucked up and gave you a veggie burger.
Like, how do you self-checkout for that? Like, when you self-checkout, like, is it the kind of thing that if the burger's fucked up, like, can you like really kind of at that point, it just kind of fucks you at that point. Like, you're completely fucked. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, well, we don't know. Like you self-checked yourself out. Like, we have no idea.
You didn't click the meat option on the burger.
All the options, like, how you can select like vegetables and shit when you go to the grocery store. You bought your burger, but you didn't select meat on the screen. Right. So you selected everything else, but not meat. Right. So now you get this meatless burger.
And you go out there and you just complain like, well, it's your fault, man.
Like, well, you did this.
Fair. No, you did this. Inflation did this.
And there's our guest, Tucker Lutz. How you doing, man? How are you?
What's up, gentlemen? How are you guys?
Welcome to the Happy Hour podcast. Of course, I'm Ray. This is Matt. Tom Nutty is over there on the other window. And man, like we don't. You're in MMA, you've done stuff with UFC, you've done stuff with Shogun fights. We don't need to ask you about any of that kind of stuff, but like with doing this stuff, I was always kind of curious because I did pro wrestling myself for 20 years. Like, have you ever had like, before you got like really, really big in the fighting world, like, is there kind of like independence for, MMA? Like, is it the kind of thing where someone asks you to come out and do a show and you show up and you get there and it looks like someone has welded a cage together out of like the fence in their front yard, and you're just looking around and you're like, oh, what the fuck? And you're like, oh, whatever, they're paying me, I'm just going to go in here and kick the shit out of somebody.
Yeah. So I haven't fought. So you start off in the amateurs and you're not getting paid for that shit. But really, like, I fought for Stellar Fights in Delaware for most of my amateur fights, and they still do shows. They do a good job. I mean, I fought in some weird venues, like kind of like indoor turf facilities and shit back in the day.
Okay.
But really nothing super seedy to be like, all my shit has been in some type of athletic commission or another.
Okay.
Back in the day for Virginia amateurs, I'm pretty sure that the rules have changed. Most amateur promotions, like, you got to wear shin guards. You can't elbow to the head. You can't knee to the head. There's limitations in the rules. But Virginia, it's straight up full rules there. You're not getting paid a cent. If anything, you're paying now these days because you have to get licensed and all that. But it is full on knees to the face, elbows, and back when I think that they've changed now, but my last amateur fight was 2015, and they didn't make me do any type of blood test or anything like now. And even in amateurs now, but now you have to take HIV, the surface antigen.
Really? Holy
for
shit.
hepatitis and shit.
Yeah.
But like Virginia back in the day, they didn't give a fuck. So like you definitely could have fought someone with AIDS and like you would have been shit out of luck, man.
You sit there and you have someone in a rear naked choke and he's like, I have AIDS. And it's like
bleeding all over.
It's just kind of like what's happening here? And you know what, with all the fight, have you ever like hit or kicked somebody so hard that they literally went frog leg, like literally, like they just their body just forgot how to fucking operate?
No, not in a fight, definitely in sparring, because you see that more so with the body shots, and it'll be a delay. Like if you catch a good liver shot, it'll be like a second, and then you pretty much lose kind of all bodily function. But no, never in a fight. There is a guy, a local MMA fighter, Peter Pettis, who back in that same Virginia amateur promotion, this was years and years ago, that he kicked a dude. And then the guy just instantly started. It was a body kick. The dude just instantly starts yakking up, throwing up. So they had to stop the fight from puke. But no, knock on wood, or unfortunately, I have not caught someone with the body shot KO. But hopefully soon, because I love going to the body, man. It's underutilized in MMA. In my opinion.
And like part of me kind of hopes, and like I don't know if like how would he actually fucking happen, but like someone would have like an artificial toe, like a fake toe,
okay,
and they kick the shit out of somebody, and they kick them so hard their toe like just flies off, their artificial toe. Like it, like imagine being in a fight, like you're sitting there, you're watching a fight, and someone just kicks somebody so hard like their artificial toe just flies off like out into the crowd or something. Like would you still be able to fight with, like, you know, if someone had like an artificial limb or something like that?
Not long. Well, so I doubt that the commission would let you fight if you had an artificial limb. I seriously doubt that, because like it's their ass if there's litigation.
True.
But someone, I'm fairly certain, like within the last year or two, and I don't know if it was UFC, but a major promotion, someone literally lost a finger like inside their glove. Ooh. So I can't remember exactly what happened. They were able to attach it. But yeah, it was like literally in the pocket of a small glove.
Like what did, like, I guess at that point, did they stop the fight instantly, or was he just like, no?
I don't know. I think it was at the end of the fight. I'd have to Google it, but I'm pretty sure it was like the end of the fight, you know, just rattling around, motherfuckers missing his finger. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, that fight, it didn't end. They found out about it after the fight was over, but that guy fought the rest of the fight with his finger like stuck in his glove. Yeah.
Dude, adrenaline is a hell of a drug, man. Adrenaline carries us through quite a bit. I mean, even so, I was at Shogun Fights last night at Maryland Live, and I think people will watch on TV and like a leg kick, you know, and they're like, but when you're up close, especially when you're doing it, but when you're up close, like, I don't think if adrenaline existed, no one would be taking leg kicks. It hurts so fucking bad. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's amazing. It's so much more stressful watching your homies fight than it is to fight itself. So,
you know, I could agree with that 100%. Like, you know, there's been a lot of stuff like when I went out and I would wrestle, like, and like what you said, like watching on TV, you see someone get hit with a chair, you're like, oh, whatever. But then when you're there live and someone gets blasted with a chair and you hear just the sound that sounds like a gunshot going on when they get blasted with that chair, it's just kind of like, oh, fuck, like, you know. And what with you doing, you know, the fights, what do you think, like, is there any, like, really, of course you said in amateur stuff they use like shin guards and all that, but with Shogun compared to the UFC, is there any big, like, vast differences between the two that you saw, you know, doing one to the other?
No, so as far as fight, it's literally the same shit, same weight gloves, same skill set. Really, as far as they call it pro rules, but as far as you in America, it's going to be the same shit. You go over to Asia and you can, like, so if you have 3 points of contact down in the States, you can't knee or kick to the head of a ground opponent. But in Asia, they can soccer kick the fuck out of your face.
Really? Know? Asia, they just Taipei their shit. You just get in and you're just kind of like, what's going on here?
But a lot of those promotions in Asia don't like the or back in the day, like Pride. I don't know if you're familiar with what that is. That was like the competitor to the UFC. I don't think you were allowed to elbow to the face, but I could be wrong. But you could definitely stomp people. You could soccer kick them, knee them to the head when they were down. So yeah, the rule set is the exact same. You know, it's the unified rules of MMA or whatever. But what's nice about Shogun is it's fucking, I was talking to my homie today about it, matter of fact, is we call those regional shows, like Shogun, LFA, CFFC, and essentially it's regional. It's feeder leagues that, you go and you cut your teeth, eventually climb the ranks, and then you get a Bellator, a UFC, a PFL but the production value of a Shogun, it literally felt not much different than the UFC, to be honest. It's ran such a tight ship. I don't know if you've ever been to one. It's got the big screens up there. It really is a beautiful display. So it was my first time being to one. The last one that I've been to, I fought in. So it's been a long time since I've been able to be a spectator on it. But if you
is it weird?
I recommend it.
Is it weird being a spectator compared to, you're used to going there and showing up and, being in the locker room and then going out fighting, and then you're just kind of sitting there, you're a spectator, and you're like, man, this feels like, way different. Like normally I'm used to the hustle and bustle, getting ready to fight and doing the fight itself.
Yeah. So it's definitely nerve-wracking, like I said, because the teammates is more stressful for me to watch than for me to fight. But it was cool, man. Like I said, I can't remember the last time I've been able to go. It was actually, it was 2017. I was fight like 3 or 4. And then after my fight, I got changed, and then was able to walk out with my homie Jesse, who was the main event. And then towards the end of my Shogun career, like the last 4 or 5 fights, I was either co-main or main event. So I couldn't walk out with my teammates, and I couldn't like shoot the shit in the locker room without having the pressures of a performance. So it was definitely nerve-wracking, but it was pretty fucking sweet to be on the other side for like literally for the first time ever, being able to walk out with my homies and all that shit. So it was pretty special, honestly.
Nice. And what we do, our show is a little bit different. Like, most podcasts come on, people bombard you with 8,000 questions. We're a little bit different. We do like really funny news stories. We also do games and all that. And we're going to get into one of the news stories. All of them are UFC or fighter themed. And you guys may have heard about this in the past, but UFC star Polyana Viana proved that she was the wrong person to pick on. And pretty much somebody tried to rob her. It says, UFC star Polyana Viana left a man with horrific facial injuries after he tried to rob her with a cardboard gun. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share this, and that way we can all see what's going on. So pretty much homeboy tried to rob.
Okay. I remember this. Yeah.
And it says that the Brazilian was waiting for her Uber in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, when the misguided criminal demanded that she hand over her phone. After claiming he had a gun, Viana punched and kicked the would-be robber before locking him in a rear naked choke, and kept the man in a submission while she waited for police to arrive. And this is the dude, like, she fucked this dude up. Like, his face is all just like, I want to be, and that's the gun. Like, imagine, like what, like, I'm sorry, but like, I would rather put a candy bar up to somebody's back.
It almost looks like a half-eaten sandwich, really, like the corner of a sandwich.
He just rips that off, and it's like, what the hell?
Well, we know he didn't pay for that at the self-checkout.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine this.
Damn,
like,
is that her?
Oh yeah, that's her.
Wow, I've never heard of. I mean, I remember the story years ago. She's beautiful though.
Yeah.
Really
yeah. She's smoking hot. She's a smoke show, and like it said that he then put his hand over a gun, but then realized it was too soft. The gun turned out to be a cardboard cutout. And she said that he was really close to me, so I thought, if it's a gun, he won't have time to draw it. So I stood up and threw 2 punches and a kick. So right. Tucker, like, is that the kind of thing, like, if you're somewhere and someone's just like, all right, look, I want your wallet, and you feel like they have a gun, do you feel that you would actually, from all the years that you fought, that you'd be able to get off a couple of good shots before they have a chance to draw a gun?
If I'm pretty certain they have a gun, I'm probably just going to give them my wallet and move on with my day, honestly.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm probably going to lose that fight most times. If they're somewhat effective with it.
I mean, it's not a cardboard gun.
Yeah, it's not. So, it's not a.
It's probably I'm kicking your ass.
Yeah. It's not like it's a squeegee like the squeegee workers have downtown, right, or anything like that. Like it's a gun. But I mean, like, imagine this guy. Like, imagine this dude walks into a bank and he has this little cardboard gun. And he's
gonna get fucked up.
Give me all the money in the register. Like, Pamela behind the counter is whipping this dude's ass. Yeah. Like old woman Pamela is beating this guy with the cardboard gun's ass. Like, what drugs? Like, what opiates are you on?
He was on something. He had to have been on something. He looked like.
Oh yeah. Like, what opiates are you on that convinces you a cardboard gun is a great idea. Like,
That's hilarious.
And
I just looked her up. It looks like she has a fairly good record too. I don't know if I've ever seen her fight, but I mean, she just got a KO last month, or a couple weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember hearing about that when it came out. Like, I never really knew much about her, but I remember hearing about that. I remember going, "Oh man, she's hot!" When it came out, and
maybe just that guy's luck. That this motherfucker doesn't.
It's like
that's the worst luck you can have.
This though, like, this dude goes to jail, and he's like, "Yeah, this beautiful woman put her hands on me, and she also put her feet on me too."
Elbows and knees on him too. So do you still wrestle at all?
I don't. I'm retired. Like, I came back and I did a Hall of Fame show in 2019, and did that. But yeah, man, I got to do all kinds of cool, fun stuff. I mean, obviously it's not as contact as what you guys, do, but the risk is always there.
It's rough on the body, bro. That shit's real tough.
Oh man, like, dude, my knee's all weird, my ankle's all weird, and especially since I haven't wrestled in a while, I put a little bit more weight back on from when I actually wrestled. So, that kind of weighs on it also. And I'm always intrigued by wrestling fans. Like, wrestling fans are some of the most passionate yet most toxic people on the planet. Like, what is your interaction like with MMA fans? Like, is it normally overall good, or do you get these weird fans that are always just kind of messaging you all the time, or just anything just completely off the spectrum a little bit?
Okay, so in Baltimore, people have been great, like the local around, you know what I'm saying? And in person, everyone's great, you know what I'm saying? I don't have a huge following. I'm still up and coming in the UFC, but my last fight, I lost by decision, and this is the last time I'll ever read comments, but people are just fucking going they're fucking, they must have nothing going on in their lives. Because boy, but even when I did an event called Dana White's Contender Series, where you go into Vegas and you fight in front of the brass, and if you have a good enough performance, you get a contract. And I did it once, won by decision. They were like, "You're not signed, come back in November, do it." And that's when I got my contract. But people were so upset that they signed me. And I was like,
really?
Yeah, people just love to talk shit, you know what I'm saying? So now I don't look at any of that shit. Like, if you really, I mean, I hate to say it, if you're a fucking grown ass man and you're going on social media with you don't even have the profile picture, you got a private account on you're just a fucking pussy.
Justin from 98 Rock says it all the time. And I agree, because it's the kind of thing, like our show, and Tucker, I'm sure you probably looked up some of our content. Like, we're very mature audience only podcasts.
That's the vibe that I got.
Yeah, and we have a lot of adult film stars on. People ask us, and I'm like, well, why will we sit there and not be inclusive of adult film stars? And I mean, really, our show wouldn't be where it was if it wasn't because of that. Because you have Sarah J on, she has 1 million followers. Okay, so people.
You guys had Sarah J on your show?
Yeah, we had Sarah J.
That's actually awesome, man.
We're working something out to try to get Sarah J back actually next month. That's hilarious. It's been probably about a year or so. But no, I mean, we have all these guests, Sarah J, Natasha Nice, all that, literally stuff that we're getting views and comments and retweets every day for. And I'm just kind of like, well, everybody who shuns adult film stars, meanwhile, it's helping us, make kind of a little bit of ground. And, with that, have you ever had any interesting celebrity type experiences? Have you ever seen anybody at any of the Shogun shows, or the UFC shows that you did that you're able to run into and have a cool interaction with?
I don't think so, man. I don't think so, because I fought with the UFC twice, and the second time was at the Apex Center, which is really limited crowd. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. My first one was a pay-per-view in Texas, and that was cool. I saw a bunch of UFC people, but as far as celebrities go, now I haven't really met anyone super cool yet, but yeah, who knows? I briefly talked to Joe Rogan, which was cool.
Nice.
At the weigh-in, and I'm a huge fanboy of him, so that was rad. But also, I don't really find a whole lot of celebrities to be cool, to be honest. So it's it would be probably be a musician or something that I would go out of my way to try to meet.
Yeah, it's funny because we have we have people from all walks of life on the show. Like we have a lot of adult film stars. We have wrestlers. You're our first mixed martial artist that we've had on the show. But we have people from all walks of life, and like we had not too long ago a content creator, like a YouTuber that was on the show. And it was just so bad.
Yeah, not the
like
blast
literally,
him.
like he brought nothing to the show. Like wouldn't answer questions, like didn't laugh at anything we did, and we're just kind of like, dude, why are you even here? Like we could have literally just edited him out of the whole entire show, and it would have been like he wasn't even there.
Did you release the? Did you do the episode? Did you release the episode?
Yeah, I released it because I'm like, you know what? And I mean, we went live. It was a live. Like we're always live. Like we're live right now on YouTube Live. That's all I know from doing pro wrestling. When we first started, we pre-recorded a few episodes, and I'm like, well, I like the pressure of being live. Like I like the pressure of not having a piece of paper in front of me with all these bullet points and notes. Like I like just kind of calling it. That's what you have to do in wrestling. You forget your spot. You put the guy in a headlock, be like, all right, look, we got to go here, and here. And that's that. Like, you got to know how to do it. And that's how I am all the time. And I'm just like, dude, you don't realize you're fucking live. Like, what the hell? So what we're going to do real quick is we're going to get into our games. Cause I know you said you got to run about 7. So let us get into our games, and then we'll get into some stuff after that. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our first game called IncoHearant.
Okay.
So have you ever played IncoHearant before?
Nah, I'm ignorant to it.
All right. So what IncoHearant is pretty much, it's a game where all the cards are in a drunken lingo, and you need to sound them out and figure out what the card says. Each card has 2 hints. So if you need the hints, we can give you one of the hints. So this is the first card. What do you think that says? Sometimes it helps if you try to sound it out with like a Southern accent.
Man, is 6 Zooing? How many hints do I get? 1? Do I get 2?
You get 2. So one of them, one hint is a playground toy. So one of the words is a playground toy.
Let me get the other one.
The second hint is make sure you read the instructions and check its weight limit.
I think I know what it is.
I honestly have no clue, bro.
Tom, what do you think?
Is sex swing?
It is sex swing.
All right, I need to have more confidence. That's what I was going to guess.
And what's funny is this is a game we do every week. We had a bunch of people. If you're familiar with WWE, they have the Royal Rumble. We had brought 30 guests back and did a whole entire Royal Rumble themed episode with this game where people had to answer these cards, and if they didn't, they were eliminated. So all right, so here's the next one. So we're going to go ahead and get this pulled up here and see if you can get this one. So what do you think this says? What do you think that says? Right. Oh, that's still the first one. Let me exit out of that. Stop sharing that.
Oh, right.
All right. So X out of that. So that's what it was. It just had a different one pulled up. So share screen, boom, share. So what do you think that one says?
All right. Suppressed feet 10. Breastfeeding?
Yes. Yes. That is great. And the hints were milk, and then an all-natural, non-GMO, cruelty-free milk on demand.
There you go. Yeah, we got a 1-year-old, 1 year and 1 month, and he was breastfed, so it's fresh on the dome.
Nice. Yeah, fresh out of the tap.
That's,
like you
that's how it goes.
Right up to the tap.
I knew it. Breastfeeding. It's breastfeeding.
All right. So it's kind of thing like Tucker, and of course, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Was it the kind of thing where the milk was on tap and you were like, I think I might try some of that? Like let me get it straight from the source.
Nah, it didn't interest me much. I tried a little bit, but it's like super duper sweet.
I heard it's bad. It
wasn't like repulsive, but it's like I'm more of like a savory than sweet kind of guy. So it was it almost was unnatural sweet. Not for me. But to each their own, of course.
All right. So here's the last one. What do you think? This one's a little bit longer. Okay. So it's actually a quote from a movie.
All right. So Sid, Hop, Dryan, Tomb, Ache, Kvetch have been.
And one of the hints will give you a hint on what movie the quote came from.
All right.
One of the hints is Regina George. So if you know who Regina George is,
I don't know who that is.
Have you ever seen Mean Girls?
No, I have not.
Yeah, she's one of the main characters in Mean Girls.
So that's one of my hints, is that beat ass Regina George. I don't know who the fuck that is.
And then it says like socks and flip flops. So this might be a hard one to get if you don't know the quote.
You got another card? Fuck this one.
What about you, Tom? You think you might know what this is?
I have not the slightest idea.
It says stop trying to make fetch happen. So that is a quote from, and I looked at the card and I was like, this is weird. I'm like, okay, well, we'll go with it. But we normally do 3 for IncoHearant. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into what do you mean? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a photo on the screen and we're going to give you 3 options on what you can meme that photo from out of the 3 options that we have. So,
all right, word.
Let's see. So let's see. We're going to go ahead and hit that. And we're going to go here. And then this is the photo right here. So that's the photo that you're going to meme. So Matt, you want to roll off what the options are?
Okay. So the first one is when your girlfriend suggests moving in together. When you are chilling with someone and think about how you never want to see their face ever again. When you are turned as fuck at 3 a.m. and you remember you have leftover Dominoes in the fridge.
Oh, that one for sure. That's so relatable, you know?
Hell yeah. That's what I was thinking.
And that's like, I love that one, but also I remember I like the second one too. Like just the excitement that you have in your mind of never having to look at their stupid fucking face ever again, just straight up ever again. And
I don't know if I've ever experienced that with a human being, to be honest.
Oh, trust me, there's so many friends that I had before, even friends who in the evolution of this podcast, that when this used to be a TV show like 12 years ago, that I no longer talk to, and now I'm just kind of like, I'm so glad I don't have to look at their stupid fucking face again.
So is it like you 3 are the crooks of the show?
Yes. Me and Matt. This started with the 2 of us, and then Tom came in a little bit later on. Tom's a local comedian. Our third.
I know who Tom is. I was on his show last year.
Oh, no, okay. So you were on a smoke break. Okay, cool. And so Tom does this with us now. And what we recently started to do also is we also started to bring Never Have I Ever back into the game as well. Now, if there's something that you would rather not reveal, just don't raise your hand for if you've done it. So
remind me how to play this. It's
right. So remind
me the rules.
What's up?
Remind me the rules. It's been a minute.
So pretty much we'll read off a card and it'll be like, never have I ever, and then whatever. And if you've done it, I don't know if you have a drink or anything like that. If you've done it, you take a drink, and then we'll give a little bit of a story on, if we done it, from that. So so the first one is, never have I ever set my hair, eyelashes, or eyebrows on fire.
If you have, you drink.
Okay, so Matt, if you have, you drink, or raise your hand if you don't have a drink. So, all right, so Matt, how did you set your hair, eyelashes, or eyebrows?
It's a long story, but I'm going to make it a short one. So we were, having a bonfire in my backyard when I was probably about 6.
Okay.
We couldn't get the thing to light, so we're dumping gasoline in it.
Okay.
And we dumped, we're fucking kids, so we dumped probably half a gallon of fucking.
Yeah, bro, why were you fucking kids?
Yeah.
And matches, like these, light the stick matches.
Oh yeah, you throw
and they're not lighting, so they're like, Matt, get closer, maybe So I stand right over top of the fucking fire, throw a match in, and then I just remember fire. That's all. And burnt my eyebrows off, had 2-degree burns and shit.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I was pretty fucked up.
On your face?
Oh,
you had 2nd-degree burns on your face?
Yes.
Yeah.
That sucks, man.
Jesus Christ. Like, I've never set my own shit on fire, but one of the wrestlers, he used to take that, the paper where you could do fireballs. Mm-hmm. He used to keep that shit in his pockets, and we would drink at the bar, and he would randomly fireball people at the bar. So I'd be sitting in there, and I would turn around, and he would just boom, fireball right there. So, I would come home and my eyebrows will be singed from him just fucking randomly fireballing. Now, the second one, I don't think many people would have this. So the second one, never have I ever had pubic lice.
Yeah, not I.
Nope.
Like,
I'm glad no one drank on that one.
That's like a different era. I feel like that's like older folk affliction.
And all right,
like, wait, who's gonna drink? No.
Now, all right. So now the last one is: never have I ever woken up next to somebody and have had serious regrets.
Not I either.
Yeah,
every goddamn day.
Matt's like, wake up next to my hand and I regret it. Every
Rosie.
day.
Does the regret have to be the person or just the fact that you're awake and you have to fucking go to work and shit?
I mean, I wake up every day with the fact of, oh fuck, I'm still alive. Like now I need to go to work and pay bills. So yeah, it could fall into that as well. And then what we do is we end the segment with Cards Against Humanity. So have you ever played Cards Against Humanity?
I have. Yep.
Okay, cool. So you know basically what the game is, but obviously we can't have a deck of cards in front of you. So we do it as Cards Against Humanity roulette. So what we're going to do is we're going to read off the face card, and then you're going to get a number between 1 and 6 to try to magically answer that card, and you get 2 rebuttals. So if you don't like the first card, you get 2 other options to be able to answer that card. So
right. Sounds good.
The first one is, I'm Bobby Flay, and if you can't stand blank, get out of the kitchen. 1 through 6. What do you think?
3.
All right, so 3. So I'm Bobby Flay, and if you can't stand Asians who aren't good at math, get out of the kitchen. Do you like that, or do you want to choose another card?
It's somewhat relatable, but give me another one.
All right, so 1 through 5. Now that that's eliminated,
I'll do 5.
5. All right, so 5. So 5. All right. I'm Bobby Flay, and if you can't stand the quesadilla explosion salad from Chili's, get out of the kitchen. So there's that one. And then you have one more chance for a rebuttal. Do you want to use that rebuttal, or are you satisfied with the quesadilla explosion salad from Chili's?
No, I'm gonna use it. I think that one's almost weaker than the first.
All right. So these will go into the pot for next week. And now we have another one. So Matt, you want to read off that one?
Okay. So it says, coming up on Turner Classic Movies, Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin star in The Hunt for Blank.
All right. So 1 through 6.
Or 2. Yeah, I'll go 2.
2. All right. So 2.
All right. So 2 is, coming up on Turner Classic Movies, Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin star in The Hunt for Yogurt That Moans Pleasure as You Eat It.
I like that. I would watch that shit.
Imagine, I mean, like as soon as I saw Alec Baldwin star for Blank, my mind automatically went to, hopefully he's not, Alec Baldwin isn't shooting
I was about to say
in the movie.
Oh God.
Yeah. So,
Sean Connery's dead, isn't he? Maybe he killed him on set, right?
Oh yeah, Sean Connery did die. And well, there was, wasn't it Mike's bachelor party? We were drunk at McDonald's talking about midget Sean Connery for like an hour. Like if Sean Connery was a midget, and what would happen? Now, are you satisfied with the Yogurt That Moons in Pleasure?
I am.
Okay, all right.
I'm quite satisfied with that.
That wraps up Cards Against Humanity and our whole segment with Ode to Humanity. And what we're going to do now is we also have a segment that we call Porn Parody Comparisons, because everything out there has a porn parody. So since you're an MMA star, this is obviously going to be an MMA oriented, one that we're going to do this week. And this one is obviously, everybody knows Ronda Rousey. And of course, that is the Ronda Rousey portrayal in the porn parody version for UFC. It wasn't the Ultimate Fighting Championship. It was the Ultimate Fucking Championship. So
yeah, I remember this scene. Yeah.
I remember that scene.
Yeah. So I mean, with that, there's a lot of bad, we just read that last article. There's a lot of badass bitches in MMA, gorgeous, beautiful, badass women in MMA. Have you ever heard of anything, or do you ever think that they would ever do anything where a woman would fight a man? And have you ever come across a UFC fighter or an MMA fighter, or just anybody in general that you think could probably beat a man's ass in an MMA fight?
Like another trained fighter's ass, or like a layman? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say I haven't had an extensive, team ground control. That's my gym. And I want to say a few years back on our old spot on Pulaski, there was this woman who was a good striker. She was European of sorts. I can't remember who was good, but she might be the only woman that I've like sparred relatively like kind of close to. It was somewhat sparring speed. And then my homegirl Whitney as well, now I think about it. But no, I can't say I've ever trained with any women who I have confident in, like, take anyone in a weight class. It just, there's a huge physical advantage with being a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, no, I can't say I've ever, and I don't know if I'd want to see that, to be honest. I really wouldn't. I don't think I want to see that. But I mean, who am I to say if someone, I mean, I'm sure in Russia, they sanction that kind of shit all the time.
Oh, dude, Russia, they're sanctioning probably, UFC fighters against bears. That's the way that's going to work.
They have legit like kid MMA. What's it? The dude, pretty sure is the Chechnyan dude, had a kids MMA event and was highly criticized. Yeah.
Oh,
not good. Not good. Not advisable. So,
imagine that. Like, it's like, you sit there and it's like, all right, Jimmy, it's time to go out there. Time to fight. I don't want to fight tonight, Daddy. Look, you're going to go out there. You're going to fight. All right. You're going to win us $100. And this is the way it's going to work. Yeah. You got to put food on our table, damn it. So, and speaking of something like that, another one of our news articles is Rumble in the Bronx Fight Club drew 200 and then the sheriff shut it down. And it says more than 200 people stood shoulder to shoulder shouting as two men sparred in the center of a Bronx warehouse. Some people hung over the barricades, social media showed, craning their necks for a better view. One man knocked out the other, and the crowd erupted in a thunderous roar. The amateur fight would have been illegal before the pandemic, but with the coronavirus cases spiking in the city, it raised to be a dangerous underground event. So have you ever heard of
that was the most dangerous part of that? This fucking
yeah, and not to mention these people hanging over railings and all that. It says the leader of the club, Michael J. Roman, and 9 others were arrested and charged with unlawful assembly, health, and alcohol code violations and participating in a prohibited combative sport. They were all each fined $15,000. So have you ever heard of anything like that? Like just like these like random like underground like fight clubs or anything along those lines? Like
don't you know the first rule of Fight Club?
Talk about Fight Club.
Yeah, so I know street beefs, obviously, if you guys are familiar with that, which I mean, I have a couple homies who actually did it. I don't know the whole dynamic of it though. I'm pretty sure it's just you like link up in some random ass spot and then two dudes fight. Yeah, I don't, because it's pretty easy to get an amateur fight. So I don't understand that, to be honest. I think it's mostly, I mean, that's the one thing I've noticed being in this industry for a long time, for a decade now, is there's a lot. I think the average person is far more delusional than we give them credit for, especially in regards to their perceived ability to either like inflict damage or defend themselves. Most people I've noticed are fucking, they don't know how to fight at all and are helpless and have like serious delusions of grandeur. And you see just these motherfuckers getting KO'd stiff in some of them. So I don't advise that shit. I think you should just fucking, go to a gym, learn, get an amateur fight, because it's really not that hard if you have a coach who signs up on it. But yeah, so I know the street beefs, and I'm pretty sure the street beefs you don't even get paid. I could be wrong, but you get the social media clout for whatever that's worth.
That's what it basically is.
Okay. Have you ever seen anybody like, well, let's say like one of those gets promoted, like a Fight Club type thing. You're like, oh man, I'm gonna go see this. Like, they charge you like $100, and then you go in there, and it's like what you described, like in Russia. Like you show up, and it's just all these kids just fighting each other, and it's like, it's like at that point, like I'm the type, I'm like I show up, and it's like, well, I paid $100. I might as well watch these 8-year-olds beat the shit out of each other. Like, I mean, I'm already here. Like, yeah, sure, let's have a few beers and watch these. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like independent wrestling is kind of like that. Like, I'm glad that Maryland, and you probably deal with them, at Shogun and any fights you've done in Maryland, the Maryland State Athletic Commission. If it wasn't for them, any Yahoo will be running pro wrestling shows in the state of Maryland. And there's so many guys out there. I've been in the ring with so many guys that as soon as the match starts, like, we'll talk it out in the back. And as soon as the match starts, they do one thing. I'm like, this guy's never fucking trained a day in his life.
Right.
And then I'm just kind of like, well, fuck. Like, now I'm out here for 5 minutes with this dude, and I need to try to mold gold from shit. And fortunately for you guys, like, you guys are fighting. So it's the kind of thing that, you guys actually do shoot fighting. So if something like that happens, you're just beating the shit out of that
guy. I was thinking,
you get exposed. You would get exposed quite quickly.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in the amateurs for sure. There was this dude. It was my first Virginia amateur fight, and this guy steps off the scale and like starts smashing Red Bulls right away, which is not advisable for rehydration. I would argue. And he's fighting with some fucking basketball shorts on with pockets and shit, and he got his ass whooped that night. It was hard to watch. And then like he was on, I think I saw him on another card not long after, and then he ended up fucking a guy up. But yeah, I don't know if it's still the same, but Virginia, it's what's called independent. So like when you go sign up, you represent a gym, Team Ground Control, and then it'd be whatever, Tucker Lutz from Ground Control and so independent. So that means that this motherfucker's just training out of their garage or something. So that's probably the closest that I've seen of that, is just like the underqualified. But very rarely on the pro scene do you see guys who just absolutely don't belong. I think it'd be kind of hard to slip through those cracks. But like you said, thank God there are commissions involved in that kind of shit to keep us relatively safe, I guess.
Yeah. Now, have you seen anybody get like any like really like monster injury? Like kind of like how you see the videos, like someone just kicks somebody and their shin just shatters and you see the front of their leg just fold this way. Like, have you seen anything like that?
I have. Yeah. I have. Yeah. My homie Ryan in Shogun, he had a nasty knee buckle. That was gross. In training, I've seen some shit. Most recently, the grossest thing I think was like a dislocated knee that I saw, which was pretty fucking gnarly. It's pretty rare though in training. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you get cuts, and I've been cut open, but fights, I've seen people tear their knees in fights in live. That's probably the gnarliest thing is the knee, my buddy's knee buckle. I think he ended up having a compound fracture, if I'm not mistaken.
Really? Now when that happened, like, did his knee like pretty much like reform itself? Like
it's been a few years. So I don't know. Do you know who Ryan McGowan is by any chance?
I've heard of him.
Yeah, so he's a really large individual. He's super heavyweight. And I think he just stepped funny, and like there might even be a clip on YouTube, but it was so fucking nasty. I felt terrible for him. So, and that's one of those things. It's like misstep, and now you got 6 months and then some of some physical therapy and surgery and shit. So that's a bummer. But yeah, I've seen some fucked up shit for sure.
Did you get to see any of the fights last night?
I did. I caught most of them.
Did you see Chandler blowing his like fucking blood clots on Poirier's face? That was nasty.
That was fucking gnarly. Dude, what a fucking fight that was. That was I honestly think that was the best card of the year last night. As far as
100%. So far, anyway. We'll see how we got one more pay-per-view.
Yeah, but I think it's underwhelming. They don't even have a co-main event set for that show.
Yeah, that's usually how it's been going. It's like they blow their wad on 3 of them.
And then have some half-ass. Well, I think with their new structure with ESPN, they get paid the same regardless of buy rate, from what I understand. So
and that's kind of why I think the same reason they've been pushing so many fight night, like it's every week almost.
The Apex shit. Yeah, they're cramming it down the throats. But I mean, that's what happens when you expand to the level that they are now. So
it don't bother me any, because I got like ESPN Plus, Fight Pass, like I have every way to watch it there is. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all.
I almost get burnt out, to be honest. Like, so I try not to watch fights from a fan's point of view. I try to write more analytical. But my homie and I, Evan, we have a podcast called Talking Rounds, which we do a lot of fight breakdowns on.
Yeah.
So I try, I got to keep up with the shit, but it's like, I almost enjoy it when there's a couple weekends when there's no fights going on, because it's like, I don't want to say saturated, because it's better that we're out in the open and accepted mainstream than not. But I would argue that it's dancing on that fine line of
It's just harder to follow, especially with every division and every,
makes it harder to sell storylines too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
it's the same thing with pro wrestling. Like I'm just kind of at the point, like I've been retired for 3 years now and I barely watch pro wrestling anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can't. And I mean, I don't know if it's the same thing for you. But me watching, like if I were to watch wrestling compared to if Matt or Tom were to watch pro wrestling, it looks different to me. Like, because I've been in the ring, so I see what those guys are doing. Like I see if they fuck up, or I see, the way they do a certain thing. These guys are watching and are like, oh man, hey, this is cool. But at that point where it's like, you've done it, you've been in the ring, it's just kind of like, okay, now you kind of almost get into a critique type thing at that point where you're seeing everything that's going on. And I'm just kind of like, I just don't want to deal with this. And how is MSAC with blood for MMA in Maryland?
Say that again. MSAC?
Yeah, the Maryland State Athletic.
Oh,
like how are they with, like, do they allow blood for MMA? Because I know with wrestling, if you get busted open, technically you're supposed to stop the match immediately. Like blood's not allowed. So,
yeah, blood is definitely allowed. There would be a lot of disappointing bouts if that's the case. I don't know. I wonder if that's more so the is choreographed an offensive thing to say about wrestling?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I wonder if that's kind of like the deviation between the two.
Yeah, because it's always been weird with that, because I've had it, myself, to where I've gotten 12 staples and I got busted open, and I just see like the promoter and everybody like, come on. And it's like, well, fuck, this is a ladder match. I'm supposed to win. Like, we just can't end it. So I had to like just start, climb up the ladder real quick, get the contract and drop. But
do they blood test you guys, like do the whole surface antigen and HIV and all that shit before you go?
They don't do all that, surprisingly.
That is surprising.
I know they're very anal with the COVID stuff. Like we recently had James Ellsworth, who was in WWE. He's also a local guy. He runs his company, and he said that up till now they're still doing like the COVID tests and all that. It's just kind of like, man, like Major League Baseball isn't even doing this anymore.
Yeah. Like, no, that's it's 100%. That's what, if you're not vaxxed in Maryland and you're a cornerman, you have to take one of the fucking nose swabs a day of, which I wasn't actually cornering anyone, but I did get to go back. So they didn't make me do that, but I'm so over that shit. I haven't fought or traveled with the UFC recently, but I'm fairly certain that if I had to guess, I would imagine they don't give a fuck about COVID anymore, just because that was kind of the vibe that I was getting when I was supposed to fight in March, and the guy got injured the week before, so the fight scrapped. And I think it was like one of those things before we flight out. Before it, they would overnight us this shit, and you had to FaceTime with someone to make it, for the proof or whatever, seal that bitch and send it. But they were like, just take a picture of a test, I'm pretty sure. And we're like, sounds good. So
you just say it's kind of like swab. It's like, oh yeah, we're giving you a piss test. Someone's like, can I borrow your piss? It's exactly. Can I borrow your test? Like,
can I borrow your COVID swab?
Yeah, I need your COVID swab. Like, real quick.
I was in Pennsylvania. Shit, this wasn't this summer. I cornered my buddy in Pennsylvania last summer, and and the size of that fucking swab that they shoved up my nose, because I wasn't vaccinated, was unreal, bro. It was no bullshit. It was like this long.
Oh,
so yeah, it's been a minute since I've had the nasal swab. Thank Christ. I fucking
they're like shoving like a fucking microphone up your nose at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're just kind of like, okay, so look, you have your choice. You have the nasal test, or we can go through anally. And you're like, wait, whoa.
Hey, dude,
wait a minute. For a COVID test? Because that's something they would probably say.
I don't want to stay on COVID too much because their YouTubes are asking about it. But they were doing that over in China. And you can
anal swabs?
Oh yeah. They were sucking stuff with their butts, checking for COVID.
That seems inefficient.
Yeah.
Well, they said because COVID originates not just the lungs, it affects like the digestive tract.
It also affects the anus.
So yeah,
like most things in life.
Yep. Yeah. Before you get on a plane, they were sticking their fingers up your butt.
I'm sorry, but my dick has COVID. Like I don't.
Yeah. But yeah, luckily I haven't had to deal with it in a while.
So with that cage, of course, you guys are inside of cage all the time. Like when you guys end up back first or face first again, like is that like a legit, like almost the same as just a chain link fence? Like, is it loose? Is it tight? Like, I mean, because obviously they don't want you guys to go through it. Like, how unforgiving is that cage
Depends on the cage for sure. Every cage is different. So if we can, go in the cage, feel it out. But there's a little bit of bounce to it. But yeah, so it's chain link with just a coating over top of it, but it's quite uncomfortable. And that we were talking about adrenaline early. So in sparring in my gym, Ground Control Owings Mills, we actually have one of the old Shogun cage. So our sparring rounds we get to do in a full size pro cage, which is dope. But you don't have the same adrenaline. So like you feel fucking everything. The worst is like getting your elbow pinched in between there, like someone said.
Yeah.
A fight, not so much, like I said, the adrenaline behind it. But yeah, it's not comfortable at all. We do our wall work, which is is cage work. We do that on a wall itself because it would be unnecessarily bothersome to do it on the cage. But it's straight up chain link fence with a spray coat over it or some type of enamel, I guess.
Wow. Yeah. And I mean, like, I give you guys a lot of credit because I've been in 3 steel cage matches, and in those cage matches, like, I've been thrown in between the ropes and went down the whole chain length on the way down. And like, that sucked. But you guys, like, every single, pretty much fight you guys do are pretty much inside of one of those. Have you ever fought inside of a boxing ring or a wrestling ring, anything, on that era instead of just in cages?
Yeah, as an amateur, I fought boxing fights and kickboxing, which were both in a ring, but I've never fought MMA in a ring. But
Okay.
Boxing and kickboxing in the ring.
The MMA ring itself, like, does that have like any kind of give? Because I know like a wrestling ring, when you hit that, it's very like, it
bouncy.
Goes like that. It breaks your fall a lot.
Yeah.
So how is it for an MMA ring?
No, it's similar to a wrestling mat. I don't like if you ever went to a high school wrestling match. It's similar to that. So no, you can definitely get your ass knocked out on that shit if you get slammed hard enough, for sure. But no, it doesn't. I wouldn't say it has any type of like hydraulic forgiveness. The UFC one is like, it feels grippy, so it's almost like rug texture. Like when I remember my debut, I had rug burn on the top of my feet from takedowns and shit. But it feels good. It feels grippy as far as striking goes. Feels like home. But and then what we have at our gym, it's like more of that wrestling mat material to it. But yeah, it's not super forgiving. You can definitely get knocked out if you get slammed on it, for sure.
And with it being grippy, is that a good thing? Because I mean, obviously if you're barefooted, you're sweating, is being grippy like that like a good thing? Like, you have a little bit more balance with that?
I always like the feel on my feet. Obviously it's different, but I feel that compared to our because when it gets slick, our cage, it definitely is troublesome to get the foot. But even you see guys, it depends on where the venue is, but you see guys in the UFC also when it gets super slick. But yeah, I like the gripping. It feels real good on my feet. And
Tuck, of course, what all do you have coming up? You have any fights coming up? Of course, where can everybody find you? And of course, definitely get out Ground Control and all that fun stuff.
So I don't have any fights booked, but I'm really hoping to hear something soon. I've been in the matchmaker's ear with my management, so hopefully hearing something. I would love to get something early next year. I want to stay busy. I was supposed to fight in March of this year. The guy got hurt, and then I've been having a lingering back issue that really flared up. So I've been out this year pretty much entirely tending to injuries, but I feel good, man. So I'm hoping to get one early next year and be able I'd love to get 4 fights, 4 wins next year, so have it really, really active. So it's been a trying year this year, just one thing after another with the body, but you know how that shit goes. So, but I feel fresh now. I feel fresh. And yeah, as far as you can find me, I'm at Ground Control Owings Mills. I go to our Baltimore location. Also, we got one in Columbia. So I'm pretty much there, I'm there almost every day. I host a podcast called Talking Rounds, which is mostly MMA based. We do fight breakdowns and predictions. But we just started this year, maybe April or March. And obviously got the focus of fights, but I like you guys, I'm interested in a bunch of different shit. So I'm hoping to interview and have people from all walks of life that, just random shit that I find interesting. So
just let us know if there's any guests we've had that
I'll have to look at the dossier, see if we can
we pretty much have someone. We have a new guest every single week. People are blown away. They're like, "How do you get all these guests?" I'm like, I ask. Like, I mean, like, and also it's the kind of thing, it's the same thing with pro wrestling. Is that once you build like a reputation, people, appreciate that. And I think it was on Instagram. Like, you followed us on Instagram. I followed back. I'm like, "Hey, bro, you want to be on our show?" You're like, "Yep." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And I think a lot of podcasters and all that just, miss the ball of, you just need to ask, but also, pro wrestling, you need to sell to the crowd.
Yeah.
Like when you come out,
like a marketing
when you
thing.
come down to, the cage, you need to sell to those people that you're going to beat this guy's ass.
Right.
It's the same thing with doing this kind of stuff, that when you send out an email, or you need to be able to sell yourself, because if not, people are just going to be like, oh, no, we're not interested. So
did you and that YouTuber like get into it on air, or was he just bland?
We didn't get into it. He was like, I don't know, Tom, how would you suggest? Because Tom knew, because like he can tell by my demeanor, because normally like I'm like this, I just keep talking and keep going and keeping things moving. But, just at some point, like he just kind of realized that like my momentum just started to die.
Right.
Well, I knew that whole episode was going to be fucking weird when the guy like joined the Zoom call.
Yeah.
And wouldn't turn his camera on and was like, I'm walking my dogs, and like totally ignoring what was going on here.
Yeah.
He's a big YouTube guy. What's his name?
His name is
name drop him or no?
I'll put it out there because I don't give a fuck. Def Noodles. Have you ever heard of Def Noodles?
No, I haven't.
Apparently he has like a really big like YouTube following, but like also he did something recently that got him into a bunch of hot water, because we were getting backlash on Twitter.
Really?
And I was like,
for having him on there.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. The PR person I work with sent him to me. I don't know. Like, I'm just, giving them a run, because I work with like 4 or 5 PR people, and they send me guests all the time. I'm like, look, he was just sent, blah, blah, blah. But, it blew me away, because I'm like, dude, you have a fucking YouTube show.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he's just used to doing shit by himself, if he's not used to being interviewed. I mean, our show's a little bit different. I don't like to ask the same basic fucking questions.
No,
like,
I hear you, bro. I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way.
It's like, we had someone last week, Allison Ray. She's like, thanks for not asking me the same 20 goddamn questions that every other podcast.
That's another porn star. Is that it?
Yes, about 75% of our guests are adult film stars. But that's
awesome.
They're super easy to talk to. Like, they don't get offended for shit.
Have you ever had Johnny Sins on?
Johnny Sins, no.
I would love to.
But
that's a perspective that's worth fucking diving into right there.
Yeah.
maybe I'll reach out.
Guy, not even as a adult performer, but he seems like a really genuine guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a jack of all trades, fucking mechanic, plumber. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's definitely a plumber. We've seen his videos. He's definitely a plumber. But no, man, if there's any guests, I have a lot of PR people. If you want to have your show have guests all the time, I can get you hooked up with.
That's awesome, man.
Whoever, just let me know. And if you have any kind of like commercial for it, just shoot it my way. Normally, I haven't played them tonight because we've just been rolling along, but normally I'll play ads here and there.
Okay, cool.
With some of our friends and shit. So, just shoot us an ad. We'll play it for you. And Tuck, I know you need to get ready to get out of here. So we're going to go ahead and let you get ready to go. Just before you go, would you just be able to do a plug for us real quick? I think
of course.
Matt and Tom might hang out for a little bit longer once you roll out. But we're just gonna let me pin you real quick. And if you can just say, hey, this is Tucker Lutz, and you're watching the Happy Hour podcast, that'd be great.
All right, cool. Just go now.
Whenever you're ready, man.
All right. Hey, this is Tucker Lutz. You're watching the Happy Hour podcast.
All right, brother. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Definitely keep us in the loop of whatever you have coming up. We'll share it. We'll definitely shout it out on here. And hopefully you had a good time. We like to try to throw in the games and just do some of those news articles and all that. And if you ever want to hang out, if there's a guest we have and you're like, oh man, I really fucking would like to talk to them, dude, definitely shout it out. We've had shows where we've had, as I said before, 30 guests on before.
Great.
I have no problem,
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. I had a lot of fun, and hopefully I'll have some fight news to share soon. If that's the case, I'll send it your way. And yeah.
All right, cool. Definitely, man.
All right, gentlemen.
We'll see you down the road, man. All right. Thank you for joining us on the Happy Hour podcast. We'll see you later.
All right. See you guys.
All right. See ya.
Peace.
All right. And guys, like obviously, Tom, can you hang out for a little bit?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what we didn't do is we didn't get into our featured beer. Just real quick, I want to get into our featured beer, which is I don't know, is it RAR or RAR or like it's
I really
it's
don't.
Group RAR Group City Hefeweizen. Like I have no idea what the hell that word is, but what stood out to me is they're here in Maryland. You can see the Maryland flag right here on the can, so they're local. But what jumped out to me,
they're not even far
is the little like Loch Ness monster.
Oh, it's that fucking
that they
thing
it's
thing from the Bay.
Yeah, it's Chessie. They have Chessie the sea monster. So someone in the 1970s was like, let's start this and let's put this monster on the can. So it makes sense. I like it. They're going to be our featured beer probably for this episode and maybe the next two. As I myself didn't make it through more than one, but let's see. Is there a trendy little? No, there's not. It says saving the Bay one beer at a time. So all right. So I'm guessing they probably put money out, to help save the Bay.
Or it's made with bay water.
Yes,
it does say unfiltered on here.
Yes, unfiltered
So,
bay water.
It does. It says unfiltered wheat ale. So
yeah,
I don't know.
We have gathered up Chessie the sea monster shit, and we have put it in this can.
It's got that dead body taste in it.
It's better. It's better than that cracker that we had, which was a white man in a can. So it's definitely a lot better than that. So yeah, shout out to Groove City. Make sure you go out, pick some up, look for the orange and black can, which are, coincidentally colors of the Orioles. And of course, our featured shot, which we're going to get some Dickel in our system. So we're going to have ourselves some Dickel here, which is George Dickel Tabasco barrel finish. Make sure you go out, look for it. It has that same looking Tabasco logo that you would see on regular Tabasco. So there you go. That is for you. And Tom, have you ever had any of this?
Of the whiskey?
Yeah.
No. And I'm
like, it goes down smooth, but
I was just getting ready to say it sounds like it would go down horribly, but I bet it is delicious.
It's good, but it has like that Tabasco like backwash as you're done. So there we go. So Matt's going to go ahead and pour that in there, and he already said I hate you, and I mean that's the thing. I mean it could be worse. It could be that aftershave gin that we had. So that was fun. So we're going to go ahead and do this, and then we'll get ready to wrap up. So here we go. So just wanted to get to that, hit that, and oh Jesus Christ, it gets worse every time. Yeah. Now I know what it tastes like to have Dickel in your mouth. Oh my God. But no,
it looked delicious.
Yeah. But no, once again, guys, as always, thank you for everything you guys put into the show. Tom, you've been doing this for a while now. Matt, you've been here since day one. The show keeps climbing. Every week we're getting more and more views. We're getting more and more stuff. So, thank you for all your hard work. I know I don't, tell you guys that much, but I appreciate it honestly from the bottom of my heart. Everything you guys do.
And see, look, you can't deny it. We're live.
So,
hey, look,
forever now. You can't clip this out.
Yes.
I appreciate being a part of this because I started off just listening to you guys.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to just be a part of it.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. I looked at it. I'm like, hey, Tom has the passion. Let's do it. But we're gonna, and I'm not sure. Next week, you know how it works. You guys have stuff going on, so we're gonna be back here next week. We're actually doing another double shot. We have such a demand for guests. We're gonna be back for a double shot next Saturday. We're gonna be back here on YouTube Live, 7:30. The guest is Bill Hillman. He's an author, director. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the movie Quigley. It has like a little like white like dog in it or something like that. It had
Quigley.
What the hell is that one crazy actor's name that has the blonde hair or whatever? That's just completely fucking insane. He was in Lethal Weapon and fucking the movie Black Sheep with David Spade, and he lived in the bus.
Chris Farley?
No,
I was like, Chris Farley's dead.
I can't remember.
Gary Busey.
Gary Busey, yes. Gary Busey was in that movie with the dog. It was a young, before he was crazy, Gary Busey. So I definitely want to ask him what it was like working with Gary Busey. And then, of course, we're going to be back here again on Sunday. Another 6:00 start time. Our special guest star will be adult film star Carmen Valentina. So she will be joining us here on the show. And then, of course, Exotica is coming up. We're going to be live at Exotica. Myself, Matt, and Socrates are going to be at Exotica, and we're having a special guest, that we're going to be airing live from Exotica with Brenna McKenna. So that should be really fun. All kinds of content there. We'll probably run into Sarah J. We'll probably run into Karen Fisher. They're going to be there. They've been huge guests on the show. Great friends of the show. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and wrap up here on YouTube Live. Make sure if you're local, go see Tom Nutty. I mean, dude's he's doing better and better every day in the comedy field. So
you can find all my shit on T Nutty Comedy. on Instagram and YouTube. So just subscribe and have fun.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can't find Tom Nutty on Facebook, just look at Billy's Ball Bags, and you'll see Tom with a comment saying "Sponsor the Happy Hour podcast," because he is pulling his weight like crazy with that. Yes. But anyways, this is going to end our YouTube live right here for the Happy Hour podcast, and we will